Well, Josh, unfortunately, first halves aren't optional. Another win, another second half comeback. What is it about you and this group that seems to thrive in those moments?
Yeah, I just think, we don't blink. We take every play, one play at a time, especially in the second half. Obviously, we'd love to get off to a faster start and not have to deal with that, but very happy for our guys. We found a way to get it done.
I know you have larger goals, but what's the satisfaction in at least holding off them capturing the AFC East?
Yeah, they still may get there. That's a really good team we just played, but not tonight. Not tonight.
Is there some power to maybe Dawson Knox having his daughter this week, you announcing that you will soon be expecting in terms of the production we saw on this field?
I don't know about that. Obviously very happy and very blessed. I love my team. I love my wife. She's my favorite teammate.
Absolutely. Lastly, you know what it takes to win down the stretch here. AFC East aside, what do you like about the group you're taking into this stretch?
Listen, we're just going to continue to find ways. We're going to keep poking at it, keep trying to get better. Each week is just one game, one practice, one play at a time.
Not that you care, but you might be the most entertaining team in the league right now.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Go Bills.
It was wild watching from home, so I cannot even imagine being on the sideline. But lucky for us, we get that perspective as we say hello to our own Evan Washburn, who had a front row seat to all of the chaos in this incredible comeback win for Josh Allen and the Bills. Evan, I loved what Josh said to you there. Despite being down as many as 21 points in the first half, this team didn't blink. It's just what they do.
It is. I wish I could say that this was surprising. It was exciting, don't get me wrong, but we went into this game both in our meetings and graphically and everything in terms of leading up. If you watch the game from start to finish, we got into it in the first half. They are a second half team. They lead the league in point differential in the second half. And as Josh laid out, Sean McDermott added to it when we spoke to him on Saturday that, look, they'd like to get off to faster starts. They're capable of playing well early in games, but I do think their style right now, and it starts with Josh Allen, wears on teams. And defensively, they're vulnerable, and we can get to that. The numbers speak that. But over the course of 4 quarters, I do think defensively it's hard to hold up against what Josh Allen does, both with his legs and his arm, and then the layer of James Cook as well, running the ball. That is where I think this team is going to be able to kind of hang their hat on here as we get into these critical games down the stretch and into the playoffs. They are comfortable in the most uncomfortable of moments, and that's a really dangerous place to be if you're their opponent coming up in the coming weeks, but more importantly, in January when it's win or go home.
I love that you said it wasn't surprising because you could totally feel that in your post-game interview with Josh Allen, both from him and yourself. It's just another day in the office for both of you, I guess. I don't think any NFL fans, Evan, would complain if we got to see that kind of game again. So with that being said, do you think we saw a potential AFC Championship preview?
Potentially, Jordan. I think it's in the mix. I would say that Denver has their say in this. Houston is coming on extremely strong, and I think they're worth bringing up because they're the one team, not just this year, but in years past, that has given Josh Allen fits. He actually brought it up when we spoke to him on Saturday and lead up to this game about defenses that are able to contain him and or frustrate him. And Houston has the ability to do that because they can rush with 4 and get to the quarterback with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. on either edge. So if those two were to match up in the postseason, that might get in the way of Buffalo getting to an AFC Championship game, or possibly that's our AFC Championship game. I think where we find ourselves, both as those that are covering the league and those consuming it, it's exciting because I do think there's versions of this game in terms of the AFC title game that you could plug and place a number of different teams. I do feel the best right now about Buffalo because they know who they are, they're confident in how they can win games, and they've been there before, unlike the other teams in contention right now, i.e. New England. We saw what they did in the second half and late in the big game, felt like a playoff game yesterday. That was a learning experience for them. And I think you could say that for Denver and how they rallied against Green Bay. But when it comes to LA and Houston and some of the other teams in the mix, this will be unfamiliar territory. Not for Buffalo. They've been living in that environment for the last few years.
Well, listen, I would be all here for it, that's for sure. The Bills were obviously on the right side of things. Unfortunately, if you're a Patriots fan, you're still wondering how that large of a lead was blown. What was the biggest lesson learned, you think, for New England yesterday?
Never take your foot off the pedal against any team that's of the quality of Buffalo, but especially against the best player in the NFL right now. I know that Matthew Stafford and Drake May and maybe some others that'll come on late here will have their say in the MVP race, but Josh Allen's the best player, and I say football player, not just quarterback, football player right now with his ability to take over games and put on the Superman cape. You cannot do anything to give him air. And I think there's been some analyzing maybe of the final drive there, the first half. I didn't feel like they necessarily gave away points. I liked how New England managed that, but you could tell, and even talking to Vrabel at halftime, he knew it was coming, but once it came, they did not have a requisite response. I thought the Travion Henderson run showed some of that mettle that they do have, but they're going to learn from that. When you go up against the quality of Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, what they can be offensively, there really is no let up at any point. And I do think it's hard for New England, I imagine, right now on Monday to feel this, but I do think they'll be better for yesterday's game, and they're most likely, Jordan, still going to win the division.
You mentioned Mike Vrabel. As a sideline reporter, you prep countless stories, but I understand one story you didn't get in to hit on from the sidelines because of how insane the game was, is how Mike Vrabel is building a connected team. Tell us more.
Yeah, this has been well documented throughout the season because of just how quickly he's flipped the culture in New England. And Mike Vrabel has the sort of facade of a former player, tough guy, but he is extremely emotionally intelligent in his ability to connect with young people and, most importantly, his players. And you do see the clips when he's shaking everyone's hand as they come into the locker room, win or lose, some of his messages in the locker room after a game. And my goal was to get more depth into how they've been able to do this, because the word connected comes up in basically every interview when you hear from players about why it's been different this year, why they won 10 games in a row. And they employed, and Mike Vrabel led the way on this, a approach that other teams have used, but it has really done wonders for this Patriots team. It's the 4 H's. It's hometown, heartbreak, hope, and let me get the fourth one here, hero. And it's a chance for every player on the roster to go up in front of the team, and I think even members of the staff included, over the course of the offseason, and basically hit each one of those H's and give a story and a context to their life in reference to each of those headlines. And it's a great way for people to know the person beyond the player or the coach. And the way it was described to us, and it's been described, it was really powerful. And it's allowed this team that's a mixture of some really young guys. They play some of the most rookie snaps in the NFL this season, and some vets like a Steph Diggs and guys of that caliber. And they've kind of come together because they know everyone's story. And I think it's a cool way to go beyond maybe the X's and O's and the schematic changes that they've done in New England to win so many games and be one of the top teams in the AFC. They are bonded in a real way. And Jordan, that's going to be tested right now because they got punched in the mouth in that second half against Buffalo. And now they can lean back on how connected they are moving forward.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch, that's for sure. Well, the Bills needed this game to stay in the playoff hunt. They'll have to go back-to-back this upcoming weekend and not overlook a struggling Browns team, a game you'll be on the call for. Evan Washburn, always great to see you. Don't blink this weekend. You might get another crazy one. Watch the NFL Today Plus every Sunday. The crew has you covered leading up to all of the big games, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports HQ or streaming on Paramount Plus.